Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me one quick favor, see that little black subscribe button on the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, hit that little black subscribe button. Really does help this channel grow, my audience grow, and I appreciate it more than you know. Also, quick thank you to our presenting sponsor, Betfred Sportsbook and the Betfred Sportsbook app. Bet $50 on any game. Get up to $1,111 in free bets courtesy of the Betfred Sportsbook. Thank you again. Now, here's the video that you came here for. And so with it, we can't waste more time. We have to give the official AT college football preseason college football playoff picks. I hope everybody knows, and I know you do, I spent a lot of time thinking about this stuff. I've spent way too much time breaking it down. I feel really good about these four teams. Of course, that'll mean nothing once the games start getting played for real. But let's get to it. Let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about my top four. Think I might have a few surprises in there, and then I'll explain some of the teams that missed the cut and why at the end. Let's start with the 4 seed in AT's preseason college football playoff picks. They are, for the first time ever, making the 4-team college football playoff in the final ever 4-team college football playoff. Welcome to the party, the Penn State Nittany Lions. I know he's going to Torres. James. Let me explain. First of all, I like James Franklin. I like Penn State, but let me explain why. First off, it's a simple talent acquisition thing, okay? And when you look at Penn State across the board, I think you can argue this is James Franklin's most talented team. As a matter of fact, I'll take it a step further. I'm almost positive it's James Franklin's most talented team. We talked about it a few weeks ago. Bruce Feldman puts out that freaks list every single week or every single year where he names the freakiest of all the freaks in college football in terms of height, weight, speed, power, whatever. Penn State this year set a record for the number of guys on the freaks list. And Bruce Feldman has actually said, I actually left a few guys off because if I put too many Penn State guys on, people would freak out. So that is indisputable. The number one insider in America says they have as many freaks as anybody in college football. I will tell you, I had a buddy that attended a practice recently, longtime Penn State fan, and he basically said, look, I've been going to practices for 20 years. He said, this is the most talent they have ever had NFL-wise. And you look across the board, that's largely backed up. Freaks, as I said, everywhere. 2 elite running backs, Nicholas Singleton, Katron Allen, combined to rush for about 2,000 yards last year. Both were true freshmen. Both were back. Wide receiver, they did a great job in the portal. Dante Cephas is probably the name to know. Offensive line, they're one of these teams. Maybe it's because of NIL, whatever. They got back some dudes that could be playing on Sundays right now. Olu Fashanu is a name that if this was 4, 5, 6, 10 years ago, probably would have left college. But he's getting NIL. Don't know what the setup is there, but I'm sure he's doing just fine. He decides to come back. He is a true All-American top 10 pick at left tackle. Defense, just dudes everywhere. Abdul Carter, he's a day one guy. He's only a sophomore, but when he declares, he will probably be a day one guy. Beyond that, Chop Robinson wasn't even technically a starter last year, but former 5-star, began his career at Maryland, transfers to Penn State, was a star. The secondary, some believe the best pair of corners in college football. That defense was awesome under Manny Diaz a year ago. And the one quarterback I haven't talked about is quarterback. But we talked about this, I believe, last week. And I'll say this. Drew Aller, 5-star kid, was the number 1 quarterback in his high school class. Ranked higher than Connor Wegman. Ranked higher than Cade Klubnik, who's the starter at Clemson. And so I bring it up because, listen, we won't know until he gets those live reps, but this was a guy with as much potential as anybody, and obviously probably would have gotten more reps last year, except that Penn State won 11 games because they had a 6th-year quarterback back in Sean Clifford, who's now playing in the NFL. So I don't blame Penn State for not playing this kid, but it's his time, and there is so much talent around him. Finally, from the Penn State perspective, schedule breaks really nicely, okay? Out of conference, if they don't go 3-0, I think a meteor is going to have to hit Earth for them not to go 3-0. They have West Virginia at home to open. That is this Saturday night under the lights at Penn State. West Virginia has no chance. Okay, I don't want to make any guarantees. I don't want to blow anything in week 1. But I don't even know what would have to happen for West Virginia, who's not very good, to go to Penn State and get a win. Then they play Delaware. Then they open Big Ten play. Later in the year, they play UMass. Good news is, from the West Division, they get Iowa at home. They don't play Wisconsin at all, who I believe is the best team in that side of the division. And then, obviously, it goes without saying, you have Michigan and Michigan and Ohio State. But here's the deal. You get Michigan at home, which you almost beat Michigan at home 2 years ago when Michigan won the Big Ten and made the college football playoff. And Ohio State, we mentioned this the other day. Have you seen how the schedule breaks for Penn State before they play Ohio State? They have, these are the 2 weeks before Penn State plays Ohio State. They get a bye week. Then they have UMass at home. Then they get Ohio State. That's basically 3 weeks to prepare for Ohio State, all while Ohio State actually has a relatively tough road game the week before they play Penn State. They will go to Purdue, which doesn't sound tough on paper, but remember, the last time that Ohio State went to Purdue, Ohio State took that L. So in the end, I believe Penn State will finish 11-1. And I believe they are a team, finish the regular season 11-1. And I believe they are a team that is going to make the college football playoff. Congrats, Penn State. First college football playoff appearance of the James Franklin era. And obviously, as we go to a 12-team playoff, it certainly won't be the last.